Hi friends, it's Kayla Rannon. Welcome back to the Let's Get Candid podcast. How's it? Happy thing, good afternoon, good evening, whatever day or time it is that you're listening. So happy to be back on the mic with you guys. So sorry I missed last week's episode. To be completely honest with you, I was on my period and my brain just did not want to function on the day that I was trying to record the intro. I recorded it for you 5 times and I just could not get it together. And I don't know, I think I mentioned in a couple of episodes ago that I am feeling a little off lately with my hormones. So when I get back from my family trip to Colombia, we leave on Monday, I will be coming back and doing a full workup, blood work, thyroid panel, my AMH levels for like fertility stuff. Like I want to do literally everything and see what the heck is going on and where I can start adding or subtracting things so I can feel my best, because I'm starting to look better with yoga and Pilates regularly and I like how I'm feeling and looking in my body, but like internally, like something, like I'm getting a lot more brain fog and I haven't been sick in a while, so I don't really know what it is, but something's up and I just had to share that. We're jumping right into the episode, but yeah, there was just something up weird last week and I feel like my body was honestly just decompressing from how insane March was. Like I was so overwhelmed at all times, whether it was the lunar eclipse and then Mercury being in retrograde and just hormones and like emotions and life, like work. It was my busiest month that I've had as an entrepreneur. Like since I've been solo full time, it's the busiest month I've had, like the most contract work that I've ever had, plus all the like trips and recovering from a trip and like consultations and calls and mentorship and events, and I loved it. It was amazing. I'm so grateful for it, but I'm tapped out. So actually my trip to Colombia with my family could not come at a better time, and I'm really looking forward to going out of office for a week, and then I know when I get back I'll just be ready to jump right in, and I'm excited for that. But yeah, March was an insane month. I don't know if anybody else felt that way. A lot of my friends also had a crazy month, so we've just been laughing about that. Like we're between 2 eclipses, the retrograde, like Q1 ending, like just, I don't know what it was, but it was just weird. And then like Easter came really early, which nobody really expected and nobody really knew was happening. So, had some family time, and, it just felt nice to be back though after the road trip. We haven't really caught up a lot since then, and I'll probably do a solo later on in the like spring, early summer, catching you guys up because I just did one like not too long ago. But, after the road trip, just being out of town for 10 days, and coming back into Miami and jumping into work and meetings and projects and events, I never really slowed down or stopped to smell the roses and kind of process my thoughts and feelings and where I was at. And I kind of started to realize that the last 3 months, my internal monologue has been off and I didn't intentionally do it. So I was really confused when I was just wondering why I was feeling so weird. And I decided to go back to therapy because at the end of January, just a couple of things were happening in my personal life. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time to go back. I'm ready to, I've been out of therapy for almost 2 years now. And I think it's time to try again, because I have come a really long way in 2 years on my own, but there's so much more work I want to be doing. There's always more work to be done, no matter what age or where you are in life. But there was just things happening that were bringing things up for me with my friends, with relationships, with family, like fights that I was having and conversations I was having, and things were going on. So I decided I think it's time to go back to therapy so I can continue working on myself for my future self and the next chapter of my life, because I have a feeling that this year is just going to be like 25. I think I've told you guys this was the building year. 2020 for my 26th year, I think, is going to be my scaling year. And then 27 next year, I think, is going to be the year that everything mellows out for a bit. And we're just going to vibe and we're just going to enjoy where we're at. And we're going to build on it a lot as well. But I'm going to have more time for myself because I'm really setting myself up for success now. I did my taxes this week. I contributed to my Roth IRA. I have money in a high yield savings account. I'm saving to buy a house. I'm doing all these things to set myself up for a future. And I'm being really intentional with where I'm investing my time, money, and energy this year, so that next year I can continue to build on that and do all the things I said I wanted to do, and all the things I really want to do, all the goals that I have for myself. There's a long list of things that I want to accomplish, and I'm not doing things based on a timeline or benchmarks, or I need to do this before I do this, but there's a lot of things I would like to do before I enter a family chapter of my life. And that's something that I realized earlier this year, and something I'm working on in therapy as well. So I don't know, just I think because I'm so overwhelmed with all of those things and those realizations, and starting therapy again, that also contributed to March being kind of a crazy month. So I wanted to give you guys a quick little life update on that front. Things are moving quickly. Like, life happens fast, and so I feel like there's always an update every single week or every couple of weeks. So I'll give you guys a proper one in the future, but I'm really looking forward to going to Colombia, and I'm really looking forward to the next couple of episodes on the podcast. I might be taking more of hiatuses throughout the next couple of months, just because I am being more intentional with the guests that I have on. So I might not always have a guest, and I don't always think that a solo is appropriate. So I think I'm going to drop it down to seasons of the podcast instead of doing like a weekly episode type of structure, which is ongoing. I think I'm going to try that out, but let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. I'm just trying to find a way to make it more manageable for myself, for my team, and while I'm working on all these other things. I have a new business venture in the works. I have a couple of collaborative projects in the works, teaching, mentorship, consultations kind of stuff. And then I'm trying to really be an influencer again. And I also want to focus on my health and wellness. So, I need to be a little bit more strategic with my time and energy. And I'm, really trying to find ways to do that in without having to spend so much money on personnel. Although there is a couple of people that I'm considering hiring or investing in temporarily, like a website developer and like operations and that kind of stuff, to help me level up and get to where I want to go. But yeah, there's just a lot in the works and a lot on my mind. I think I just really need this break, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I hope you guys are able to give yourself a break as well, and honor your body and honor your mind. And that's why I've been sharing so much of my wellness journey and my tips and tricks and habits and supplements and all of that, because that's where I'm at. And I think it's important to share where we're at with our audiences and our community and our friends, to help encourage other people to find that for themselves, and take what works for you, leave what doesn't, the drill. And yeah, I think there's going to be a couple of really great conversations this week and next week for sure. And then I don't know what's coming after that, but we will figure it out together as we always do. But before we dive into Shanberry's episode, let's do a quick suck and sweet of the week. So I'll do it basically for the last 2 weeks. My suck of the week, just that feeling of overwhelm. Honestly, like, nothing bad has happened. It's just been a lot of little things, and they all kind of pile up when you're not really taking time to sit and process it all. I've been going out more. I've been going to events more. I've been seeing my friends more, as well as spending time with my family. But that means I haven't really been taking the time for myself. And some days I'm really good at journaling. Other days I've kind of fallen off, and I can feel it. And so yeah, being more intentional with that for sure is the goal moving forward. But I think I've just been a little bit all over the place, and I need to rein it in again. My sweet of the week, the weather is beautiful. It was so breezy yesterday. We went for a coffee morning walk. I stayed at my best friend's house, so walked around Brickell, got coffee, and then I did a whole long day of work, and then we went out for happy hour. Or technically it was like 8 o'clock when we went out, but that was like when we finally finished working and could get ready. My brother joined us. We played pool. We played Sorry at a bar downtown. It was such a vibe. We had so much fun watching the Iowa-UConn game as well. So yesterday was just a really great, productive, fun day. It was so nice to spend time with one of my best friends and my brother and go out and, kind of change up the routine a little. Yeah, I've just been really vibing lately. I've been really enjoying spending time with my friends and reconnecting with them. I feel like, again, like losing that inner monologue, and I felt like I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to be doing for me in my life. Spending time with friends. My love languages are words of affirmation and quality time. And I really just need a quality time with my people to feel good again and to be in touch with myself. And so it was really nice to be able to have that again. So just been really focusing on that. I got my hair done. Yes, Thursday as well. I got my lips done. You know, it was time for a refresh in that front. And yeah, just doing a lot of networking, a lot of meetings, a lot of consultations, a lot of mentorship, having a good time. And I'm really enjoying where I'm at right now. And with that, let's dive into this week's guest. Shan Berries is a San Francisco Bay Area radio host. She has her own makeup company, Shades by Shan, which is online and in JCPenny. And she also has her own foundation giving back to families in need from the sales of her makeup. And we talk all about being a mom and a soon-to-be wife and having your own business, having a nonprofit and radio, and how she got into radio, the ups and downs of radio, and leaving it for a little bit, coming back, why this was the right time, how she navigates it all. And she's also Ecuadorian, like me, a fellow Latina. And we just had the absolute best conversation. I don't want to give too much away because I want you guys to really listen. We could have talked for like hours. Like we had an intro call that was like an hour, and then our recording was almost 2 hours. So it was the absolute best time. I hope one day I get to meet her in person. I really want to try out her products because she was wearing them. If you go see the reels of this episode, you'll see her makeup, her skin, her hair, her makeup, just everything. She looks stunning at all times. And I really just enjoy a multifaceted woman. We talk about how important that was to her and being raised by a single, strong Latina woman in the Bay Area and how difficult that was, but how that shaped her and how it's a family affair. Her mom and her sister have helped her out building it into what it is now. And we just had such a great conversation. So I really hope you liked it. If you do, please leave a rating and review. Please subscribe to the show, share with a friend, tag us as you're listening. Let me know who you want to see next, what topics you want me to cover next. And I will talk to you guys very, very soon. I'll see you all next week. Meet Shan. Shan, what's something that people wouldn't know about you just from following you?
What they wouldn't know about me. You know what? I always say this and people get shocked. I'm a violinist and I was a drummer for a very long time. And I used to be a drum instructor back like in high school. And I started playing the violin since I was 3 years old. And I played up until I was in like the college conservatory. I was at one point in high school, I was concert mistress. So that was, and then after college, I kind of left it at that. But I'm gonna start playing again because I want to play for my sister's engagement party. So and like surprise her. So I'm gonna have to take off these nails and
Yeah.
kind of pick up where I left off. And I already contacted my violin teacher, and we're like ready to roll.
That's so cool. That's why I love this question so much because you always learn something like so cool and unique. But no, that's so sweet that
Right? So
you're gonna
random.
do it. You're gonna do it for your sister's engagement. Also, you
Yeah.
just got married too. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we got married, like we did our civil wedding. I want to say it's 2 weeks ago. And then we're doing like our big wedding in May in Mexico. So I'm super excited for that, but I'm already like, oh, I feel like I just got married and like which one am I going to like the big huge
Yeah.
party or like the small intimate civil ceremony?
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like there's such a like so destination weddings have become such a thing that now there's like technically two dates. So like which one do you celebrate? The big wedding or the small wedding? Or I don't know. For me,
Exactly.
like I'm nowhere near that. But like for me, I just think like I've always wanted a destination wedding, and like you're actually Ecuadorian too. Like my dad's Ecuadorian. I would love to get married in Ecuador. But for
Hmm.
that, you have to get married here. So like I always said that I was gonna have the Sex in the City courthouse wedding like here, and
Hmm.
I would go and do like
Yes.
bigger. I mean, still an intimate wedding, but like a bigger wedding in Ecuador, and like the cathedral and the whole nine. So
That's amazing.
that's the goal.
Yes. Everything is so expensive here in the States, and, like, everything's like, "Okay, after 10 o'clock, it's over, you gotta pick up your stuff and go," and I'm like, "Dude, that's just when the party's getting started," like, we wanna go to, like, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, okay? So
Especially us
that's why we're doing
Latinos.
it in Mexico, so
Yeah, we like
Yeah,
party.
yes, girl. Like, we like to party, and then they start bringing out like the midnight snack, and then they bring out like the breakfast and the all. It's a whole thing. So
It's
I can't
I
wait. My. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like I croquetas. There's like it's a running joke in my family that I'm the croqueta
Mm.
monster. Like I love croquetas. If you leave it out, I will get it. Like do not leave it there. It's
Absolutely.
mine. So I want to do like the middle of the night croqueta. People like come out like the whole night.
Yes, and you can do all that, like, and I feel like Latinos, like, they know how to live their life, like, they some of them, like, don't have anything, but they know how they're the happiest people in the world, like, when I travel to Latin America, I'm like, "Damn, these people, like, they really value life and, like, their happiness, and they don't need all this materialistic stuff that we're used to." So yeah, it's a whole nother world, it just they know how to party, I'm all about that life, and I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, no, that'll be so much fun. I'm excited to see the pictures. Your pictures, the one like where he's stepping on the train of your dress, and like you made a comment about that, and I was like, honestly, like that's my favorite picture. Like I loved it. So it was funny.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for people that don't know, it's on my Instagram at Shanberries. We took like the prettiest picture during our civil ceremony, but he's stepping on my dress. I'm like, this just about sums up our life. Like everything is almost perfect, but you're freaking stepping on my dress, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, they're like, I feel like if it was so perfect, like it just wouldn't be real. Like that's just how you know it's real. Like he was so swept up in the moment that like he accidentally stepped on your dress. And it just got like you guys, you
It's
did things a
good.
little differently. Like you guys already had your kids and like then you
Mhm.
got married later. Like the timeline is different. Like it just like it's not supposed to be perfect. Like it's you guys. And that's what is so
Yeah, and yeah, I was beating myself up, I when I found out I was pregnant, I found out when I was 5 months pregnant.
oh
It was
wow.
during the pandemic. I had no idea. I wasn't showing, I wasn't feeling anything. I just like I could have probably kept going like the whole pregnancy, but I ended up finding out, and it just like as a woman you have all these ideas in your head like I have to get engaged first. We have to live together. We have to buy a house. Then we have to like, get married. And then we have to do like, then we have to have babies. Like everything is a step, right? Like, okay, we have to go in order. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I'm like, what? This isn't like how my life is
Yeah.
supposed to be. It's not how it's supposed to go. And then you start freaking out and like, what are people going to think? And like, what are people going to say? And you know what? I wouldn't change anything that happened to me at
Yeah.
all. Like, I think the older I get, the more I realize either God or destiny or like the universe powers, like that shit is real. That shit
Yeah.
is real. I was supposed to be a mom. It was at that moment in my life and in that exact time. And so and then I had another surprise baby when my son was 2.5. I found out I was pregnant again, and we had already been planning our wedding. And so we had to cancel the wedding. Like everybody, like people bought flights, people booked their hotels. Like we had everything lined up, and we had to postpone our wedding. So this is a third time's a charm here. Let's try not to get pregnant in the next 58 days. But yeah.
It's funny. No, but it's truly what you said. Like lo que es para ti, nadie te lo quita. Like and like everything happens
Mhm.
exactly the way it's supposed to. I always say that, and you and I have talked about that too. Like you're back on radio now, and I want to get into that a little bit. But for a while there, you left radio, and like maybe it was because you left radio that all of these things happened, and like just like you wouldn't have been able to do all of these things if you and like Shades by Shan, like all of that stuff kind of happened and took off in that interim. And now like you're coming back to
Mhm.
radio, another version of yourself, and like you're showing up differently. And so I wanted to talk about like your career because you do so many different things now. But
Mhm.
how did you get your start in radio? Like, did you always want to do radio? Like, did you study it? Like, how
You
did this happen?
know you know what? So I was studying international relations. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be like my mom because my mom was a diplomat back in the day. I'm like, I'm gonna be like my mom, and like I got this. Like I'm gonna work. I have dual citizenship. I'll work for the Ecuadorian government. Like I had everything, and then planned in my head, and I was taking all these classes, and I was damn near failing every single one because I was like, what is this? This is like so like not me. And I kept just like barely passing my classes. I felt like the teachers were just like felt sorry for me. And one day I took a public relations class, and I remember my professor pulling me aside, and he said, "Shan, I need to ask you a question." And I go, "What?" And I at this point I was like acing all my projects for him. I was like star student in that class. And he goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he was like, "What are you doing? Your major is international relations and you're failing all your classes, yet you're taking public relations. Like, this is who you're meant to be. You are a people
Props
person.
to him
You
for like
you
checking you
and
though.
Yes, Mr. Steven. And so he goes, "I think you need to reevaluate what you're doing with your life and what you're studying and who you are, and think about possibly changing your career." And I was already 2 years in, so
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
almost there. And I went to go talk. I talked to my counselor that day, and I go, "What do I have to do to change my major?" And she goes, "You're gonna change your major? Like, you're gonna have to like," and I go, "And I want to graduate on time. Like, I want to graduate with my friends."
Yeah.
And she goes, "What, you want to? You're trying to graduate on time and change your major? Like, all like, how are you going to do that? You're going to have to like triple your load and take like 21, 27 units just to get there
Yeah.
again." And I go, "Sign me up. I'm changing my major." I changed my major that day to media communications. And from then on, I was like acing all my classes. It was just came so natural to me. And part of the media communications major, you had to do an internship. And so with your internship, you had to find a company to go intern for to get credits, right? So my mom actually went on Craigslist. I don't know why my mom, how she even knew how to like maneuver Craigslist, but she found an ad for this radio station that I used to work for. And she goes, "Aplica, mija, aplica, aplica." And I go, "Mom, nunca me van a coger. Like, I'm not good enough." I always had this mentality, like, I'm not good enough. And she goes, "Mija, solo aplica." Like, just
Yeah.
do it.
What
And I
yeah, what do you
honestly,
have to lose? That's what I love about, and we talked about this. Like that's what I love about Latin
mhm,
parents. Like Latin moms, like they just have this unwavering faith in you. And they're like, and my grandma, I was talking to her yesterday, like my abuela, my guardian angel.
mhm,
She's like, that just wasn't for you.
mhm,
Like, like more things are coming. Like they just know, like they have it in them.
mhm,
She's like, what do you have to lose? Apply, People are so afraid to apply if one thing they're not qualified for, or even if they're
mhm.
overqualified, they still won't apply because they're like, it's not gonna be me. It's like you don't know what like try it. You never know.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know. And so, you know what? I don't even think I applied. My mom applied for me. Like, se hizo la loca and
Also
she
Latin
applied for me.
parents.
Also very much of a Latin mother, okay? So I remember I was partying in Vegas and I get a
Of
call from
course.
a random number at like 8 in the morning. I'm like, "Hello?" And it was Jason Dahlstead, the producer of the morning show. And he goes, "Hey, I got your application for the intern position. And can you come in tomorrow for an interview?" And I go, like, "Yes, yes, like we're flying back tonight. I will be there." And I remember my mom went out and bought me a blue, navy blue suit. It was the first and only suit I ever owned because I worked in radio. You do not have to dress up. But I remember, and she's like, "Como te ven, te tratan, hija. Como te ven, te tratan."
True.
And I walked in there and everybody's in like sports gear, hats. Like I looked like I worked in like sales or corporate, or that people were like, "Who is this girl like coming in here dressed like that?" But I remember seeing the vibe, seeing the disco balls, hearing the music, seeing the artists running, walking around. I was just like, "Oh my god, this is where I belong. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life." And I got the position, and I had to be there every day at 5 in the morning.
Oof.
5 in the morning when I'm, 19 years old, still in my party phase. But that's how I got my start, and I remember just wanting it so bad, and there were so many interns that I was like, "What's gonna set me apart?" And I remember just saying, "Okay, I'm gonna be the first one there, the last one to leave." Every time I was like, "What can I do for you? Is there anything else I could do for you before I'm leaving? Is there anything else I could do?" I was at every single event. I was like, I would scrub toilets, okay, for a full-time job there. And it got to a point where I think I interned for 3 years, and my mom was like, "Okay, mija, yeah, like, te están abusando. Like, you need to get a real job."
Yeah.
And I go, "No, I know what I'm doing. So finally I got like the assistant producer job, and it sounds fancy, but it's minimum wage. I think I was getting paid $300 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I worked my way up, and I started at the bottom, and then I got the midday position. That was my own show. I was the youngest DJ here in the Bay Area doing radio at 26. Then I joined the morning show again as the executive producer and the co-host of the show. So I was there for 12 years, and then I left. And I guess that's where
Yeah.
Shades by Shan comes in.
No, that's
Um
wild.
so
It goes to show though, like what your mom was, what you were saying, like you would do anything to get the job, and your mom was like, dude, 3 years is enough, like take a chill pill, like
mhm,
maybe it's not
yeah,
gonna happen for you, but you're like, no, like I'm gonna prove to them that I deserve this spot, and I'm gonna put in the work. And sometimes it does take a lot longer. I think a lot of times nowadays people want it instantly, like instant gratification. They want to
mhm,
put in a few hours and a few weeks and a few months, and then they, like, if it doesn't work out, if they get told no from their dream job, they give up.
yeah,
They're like, maybe it's not meant for me. Like, you knew that there was a reason why, and it paid off.
mhm,
12 years is a really long time to spend nowadays at
mhm,
your first job. Like, that's unheard of, and you worked your way up. And yeah, minimum wage living in the Bay
mhm,
Area is insane, but
yeah,
for anywhere, but especially in the Bay Area. But like, you knew
yeah,
that there was a reason why, there was a purpose in it. Um,
yeah,
so I think that's also part of why maybe, like, when it was time to leave, you were ready for that next chapter. So how did
yeah,
Shan come about?
yeah. So my mom again also instilled in my sister and I, tienen que comenzar algo de ustedes mismas. Like, you have to start your own thing because you're never going to make money working for somebody else.
100%.
And she always said that to us. She came to this country as an immigrant, no family, no boyfriend, no nothing. And she did something with herself by herself, like, and she started her own travel agency eventually. And so that was always ingrained in our minds, but I was like, what is that going to be like? I'm not good enough to do anything. Like, I was in radio, like I don't know how. I still to this day do not know how to use Excel. I don't know how to use PowerPoint. I don't know how to use Google Meet, Chat, Slack, all this crap. I don't, because in radio I just had to use my voice and press
Yeah.
buttons. And so I never thought that I was like going to be good at anything else. And in radio they kind of brainwash you to think that. Um but that was a company I worked for, but it was old school radio, but it gave me thick skin and who I am today. So I'm grateful for that. But this was back when I was seeing a trend when all the influencers were like, I'm collaborating with Mac, I'm collaborating with Sigma, I'm collaborating with Becca Cosmetic. Like, there were always these huge
The old
influencers were
school
always
ones
collaborating.
too.
Yes, yes. Like,
Ancient.
they're all like always like promoviendo, like promoting another company. And I'm like, get pendejas. Like, you guys have hella followers. Why wouldn't you just come out with your own thing? And then I'm like, ding, se me prendió la lamparita, and I was like, well, I have a little bit of a following here in the Bay. I love makeup. I've always loved makeup. Why can't I start that? And that could be like, my little thing that to show my mom, like, hey mom, I started something. And so that's when I talked to my sister Erica, who was like a big wig executive in Asia. She was living there for 12 years. And I told her about the idea, and she goes, look, if you are for real, like, I will quit my job today because I am burnt out. I want to come back home, and I will help you for 6 months, and then I'll let you go, like, spread your wings and you can fly. I'm like, okay, great. She's the businessy one. And so she came back to the States, and we started brainstorming, like, okay, well, how could we start this company but also be impact driven? Like, how could we leave a legacy behind? How could we actually help the community? And so we started looking at different charities, like, okay, maybe we could donate to a charity that we love. And there really wasn't anything that was resonating with us. And then when we would maybe find something, we're like, but where's that money really going to? Like, where, if we donated to that, like, what are they really doing with that
Yeah.
money? And so one day it just clicked. So our mom is a single mom, Latina, immigrant. Like, we saw how hard she struggled with nobody here, no boyfriend, no husband, no amante. Like, where did she turn to when times were tough? And so we started researching charities for single parents. And back then, 5 years ago, we really couldn't find anything. And so I looked at my sister. I was like, Erica, like people start nonprofits all the time, right? Like there's hella nonprofits. Why can't we start one? And so she goes, really? And we start researching on how to do it. And we just started the process. Did we know how hard it was going to be? No, but we did it, and it takes about 17 months to really like be a get all your files and get all your legal documents in order for you to be a 100% legal 501c3 nonprofit. And we did it. And we when we launched Shades by Shan and the Mama Berries Nonprofit Foundation, with a portion of every purchase you make when you buy our makeup, a percentage of proceeds go to help single parents in need. We launched it 24 hours after launching. Our shit sold out, gone.
No, that's
We're
huge.
like, okay.
I love that you guys. Yeah, because it's so true. Like I've always been someone that's so community driven and so into community service. And especially working in radio, I'm sure like you guys are always at like a community event. So you're seeing all of it.
Mm-hmm,
But yeah, like where does it go? I always think about that, especially ones like whenever they're like super celebrity driven and like the tables are like
mm-hmm,
thousands of dollars at their galas. I'm like, where's this money going? How much of this is
mm-hmm.
really, and then you see like Goodwill, like the CEO makes millions and it's Goodwill. Like, where do they make their money? How does that happen? You know? So I think it's really smart that you guys took it upon yourselves to do your own thing. And I've worked briefly in law school in the clinic with a 501c3, and it's a pain in the ass, but I commend you guys for
Mm-hmm.
for going that
Thank
route and
you.
making your own. It's something that my dad tells me all the time. He's like, you should start a 501c3 because of my podcast. And he's like, you provide so much mentorship and value to people. And like, you have grown so much in this and like your confidence and
Mm-hmm.
like your curiosity, like you promote that in other people. You should do something with this. So I
Mm-hmm.
even thought about doing my own 501c3. It's in the back of my head at some point. We'll talk about that.
You should
Sure.
You should just do it. La cosa es empezar, okay? You
Yeah.
just have to start and then all your little bricks will
Yeah.
follow. Um so yeah, so we launched and then our our inventory that we had for what we thought would be 6 months sold out 24 or 48 hours and we're like, "What is going on here?" So then we like launched again, sold out. And we just found a like huge amount of people, just an outpour of people coming to us and saying, "Who are you guys? I just want to say thank you." Like, I'm a single mom. No one does anything for me.
And
No one
makeup
ever
too
tries
for
to raise
single
awareness.
moms, I feel like is genius because they always are putting themselves but like second to everybody else and like
Last.
sometimes really hard for them to
Mhm,
get themselves dressed up to go on a date or go on the job interview or like so like makeup is something that truly does make an impact in their life. My mom always says,
mhm,
si no te sientes bien, vístete, ponte ropa, ponte maquillaje, brush your hair, like
mhm.
actually like look presentable and you're gonna feel a lot better. Like makeup makes a huge difference in that. So like that is honestly like when you said like the light bulb went off, I was like, that is literally a light bulb going off. That's genius.
Uh, yeah. So, and even guys coming out of the woodworks, like, "Hey, I know this is weird, but like, I just want to support because I want to buy my mom makeup. She's a single mom. Like, can you just tell me
Love
what to
that.
buy? Because I don't know about makeup." So everybody was coming out, and like we would hear these stories, and we're just like, "Oh my gosh!" And so now with our nonprofit, people can go onto our website, mamaberriesfoundation.org, and nominate a single parent that's struggling or that you just want to show love to. Like, hey, I mean, we've given when we give them financial assistance, but we've had some, heart-wrenching stories. And those are the people that we really want to like showcase. And so you can nominate a deserving single mom or single dad, because let's not forget about the single dads, and tell us their story. Like, what adversities are they going through? What challenges are they facing? How can we help? Where will the money really like go to? Is it like back rent? Is it their car payments late? Is it daycare? Is they can't afford a nanny? Like, what do we need to do here to help these people? And everybody that we've helped over 80 single parent families in the
That's
United
awesome.
States, and counting with financial assistance, and we give the money
I'm
directly
getting
to them. Like
chills.
we
Literally getting
Oh.
chills. This is so cool.
Yeah, because I want to see with my own eyes, like, this woman needs this money. Like, we've had people that were, came to us this one lady was from Venezuela. She fled the country. She was here on asylum. She was 9 months pregnant. Her family member was supposed to pick her up from the airport. Well, they never showed up. She was homeless. She was roaming the streets of Miami. She didn't have a place to go. She found a convent,
Yeah.
and the nuns took her in. She started selling empanadas to make ends meet. She was renting a room in a house with other people for her and her daughter, a one room in a house,
Yeah.
and selling empanadas. And we gave her $2,500. Then JCPenny matched that with another $2,500, and then another brand from JCPenny matched that for $2,500. So she walked away with over $7,000. She was able to buy a car to take her daughter to daycare. She was able to have a car to go to work, to
Yeah.
make money. And so those are the people that we really really try to impact, because they have no other resources. They really don't know or have a place to turn to for support.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. So we started Shades by Shan with two products. It was the Berry Obsessed eyeshadow palette, which I'm wearing right now. It's like I love this palette. And then our hyphy highlighter palette. Like, if we're not Bay Area, like, I don't know what is, but hyphy highlighter palette. And now we have almost 100 products. And we launched in JCPenney stores, in 610 JCPenney stores nationwide.
That's huge. And I
So
love that
that
they are a corporate partner of you guys in the foundation too. And just that story,
super
like,
supportive.
one, those are the best empanadas, the ones that come from like someone's house. Second, like
Mhm.
second, like those are the people that like I think of like your mom, my grandma when she came here, like
Mhm.
in 1981 and in Mariel from Cuba with two kids.
Mhm.
And, my grandfather was here and he brought her here. But, shortly thereafter, she was on her own and she had to really build something for herself, and learning English and finding support in a country where you don't speak the language and you don't understand the systems and like what's going on. Like, that is absolutely incredible. And how it started out, like, you just you wanted something of your own, and look at everything that it became. um that's just so freaking
Yeah.
like
Thank you. Yeah. So I hear these stories and I see what our parents have had to go through, and I just couldn't imagine having to live like that. I feel like we look back, and I feel like I'm so fortunate, like, see, me rajo todos los días. Like, I freaking work my ass off every single day, and I want more and more and more and more, because I can't I think I'm also a creature that I thrive on a little chaos.
oh, same.
So yeah, so I'm always wanting more. I'm never gonna be comfortable. I every time I sit down in my house, I'm like, this is precious time. I could be doing something, positive. So I'm a little tough on myself, but yeah. So then we've also launched in BoxyCharm and Ipsy. We've been in over 10 million subscription boxes with them, and it all started out of our mom's basement, like, with two products. And my mom was there, like, helping us package orders, like running to Walgreens to buy printer paper, like lugging our like paquetes to the UPS store for us. Like, mija, ¿qué necesitan? ¿Qué más puedo ayudar? Like, it is a very much a family run business. And and I never in a million years would have thought that it would have become what it has become. But yes, to go back to like having to leave radio, I needed to leave that situation for me to thrive in other aspects. I don't even think I would have been able to get pregnant working at like waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning for 12
No,
years. Like, the
probably
stress,
not.
the like, you're sleep deprived, you're like so tired all the time. I don't even think so. And I think that God, again, or the universe, does everything the way it's supposed to happen. So I left that, had Shades by Shan, blew that up. and then got back into radio some way, somehow.
Yeah, no, there's so many, like, we could go so many different directions with this, like, talking about, like, how did you manufacture and formulate the products and, like, starting that business and growing it out of, your mom's basement to now, like, what it is,
Mhm,
how you handle and how you even got corporate partnerships and into JCPenny and into Ipsy and BoxyCharm and all of that stuff. But, like, the bigger story, I think, is, like, I've had those conversations with so many people on this podcast before, like, but for
mhm,
you, I think it's, like, what you just said of, like, you the mental and physical, like, changes that you experienced
mhm,
leaving radio, starting your own thing, kind of reimagining and, like, reestablishing who you were and,
mhm,
like, growing into who you are through entrepreneurship, and
mhm,
then now you have a family, and now you're able to be like, "All right, I do miss radio, I love radio, that's where I got my start, I wouldn't
mhm,
be where I am today without it, and I love
mhm,
it so much, how can I make this work for me now?"
mhm,
So,
mhm.
how do you balance it all? And, like, how did the whole because now you have an afternoon show, which is a lot better than waking up at 3 AM, so how did
Yeah. Oh
come
my god.
out the second time, but, like, how do you balance it all, truly?
I feel like we need to stop using the word balance because there's no
Oh,
such thing
I
as
agree.
balance. Like
I agree. It's a myth, but I
there
don't know what
is
word to
no
use.
yeah, yeah, I know, but it's just it's like yeah, I have my good days, I have my bad days, I have my terrible days, I have my absolutely amazing days, and I think that's just how life goes. Like that's just how the cookie crumbles at the end of the day. And you know what? I've had to come to terms realizing that I can't do it all. I can't do it all and be a mom. I know a lot of people say, you can be a mom and work and do all this and live all your dreams. Yes, you can, but you
But
have
not
to
all
have
at the
help.
same time. You
And
need
I
help and not all at the
and
same
I
time.
yes, exactly. And just know like, okay, maybe not right now in this when my daughter is 11 months old, but later on it will come and that's okay too. And realizing like as a mom, these moments are so precious. And I suffered a lot with my son because again, he was a surprise baby. I found out when I was 5 months pregnant, so I had 4 months to wrap
That's
my head
wow.
around the
How
fact
did
I
you
was
find
becoming a
out?
mother. Oh my gosh. So I was I could so I had all the signs and so I couldn't lose weight. I was like working out like crazy, eating good, couldn't lose weight. I was peeing all the time. And I remember Matt was my now husband. He goes, "You should go to your doctor and see, maybe switch up your birth control because maybe it's just like not agreeing with you. You've been on it for like 15 years, get off of it, maybe switch it up. Maybe that's why you can't lose weight." I'm like, "Okay." So I went to my gynecologist and I told it wasn't a doctor, it was a nurse practitioner. No shade to nurses. I think they're great, but this is just my experience. I told her what was happening. I couldn't lose the weight. I was having, frequent urination. And she instantly put me on another birth control and sent me to a bladder specialist. Never thought to give me a pregnancy test.
That's the first thing my
So,
gynecologist does. Like, I blood work and pee on a stick. Literally before the doctor even sees me, the nurse goes, "Here you go." That's wild.
yeah, exactly. You have a sore throat. Here you go. Like
Literally
for any
anytime.
reason, any time. And so I went to a bladder specialist. That bladder specialist didn't think to give me a birth whatever thingy. So he put me on bladder antibiotics. He goes, "If that doesn't work, come back next
You
month."
still didn't pee in a cup
Obviously
at a bladder specialist?
nope,
What?
nope, nope, nope. And then of course it didn't work. So I went back the next month. He put me on another bladder medication. And then I went to a baby shower. And I asked Matt's cousin, I go, "Oh, how'd you find out you were pregnant?" She was like, "Oh, I missed my period and I took a pregnancy test at home and then I found out I was pregnant." I was like, maybe I should try to get off birth control. Because remember, I'm on birth control this entire time. Nothing changed.
Yeah, that's this whole
And I go, "Let me get off birth control to see if I get my period. Let me just try to flush it all out, see, get my period. Maybe I just need to like restart because I was always just continuing the next pack. because you never want to get your period. You're like, oh, let me just continue the next pack.
Yeah.
So I stopped, and that week I didn't get my period. And I took a pregnancy test at home. And at this point, I'm a stomach sleeper. So I'm like, damn, like my
I'm a
stomach's
stomach sleeper
hard.
too.
Like, yeah, I'm like, my stomach's getting
That's a
hella
fear
hard.
of
Like,
mine. Not gonna lie, that's a fear of mine whenever I do go to have kids. I'm like, I can't sleep
mhm.
on my bed. Like,
Dude, it was like, it's horrible. But honestly, now I'm hardly a stomach sleeper because I think I trained so much to just sleep on my side that I'm more comfortable sleeping on my side now. But yeah, it was freaking hard not sleeping on my stomach. But I'm like thinking, I'm like, oh, my stomach's like hard. I'm like, damn, girl, you really need to lay off the cheese. Like, you need, like, gluten, girl. Like, stop eating bread. Like,
and none
para
of
con el
this.
pan, mija. Like,
Why did your mom is so good before? Why did your mom not be like, go take a pregnancy test? My mom would be like, bitch, you're pregnant. Like,
I know, but you know what? I never like thought to tell my mom because my mom's such a worry wart too.
yeah,
Like, so I just really try not to tell her like my personal stuff because I'm just like, I don't want to hear it.
that's fair. That's very fair.
So, and then and then I, and then I take a pregnancy test at home, and Matt is like, I think it says pregnant. I'm like, you think it says pregnant? Like, you think it says pregnant? So he runs to CVS and buys hella the tests, and they were all positive. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm like freaking out. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm probably like very very early on. And so I call my doctor, my gynecologist office. They're like, oh, okay, we're going to do some blood work. But by the looks of you, like, you're probably like 4 to 6 weeks pregnant. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I go but they're like, let's do an ultrasound to like really
Yeah.
examine and see how far you are. So they do they insert, this is TMI, but like they
No, it's
insert
all
the
good.
thing to do the thing. And the doctor like pulls it out, and she's like, I think you're further along than we think you
Yeah,
are.
because they
And I
can't
go,
do that if there's a
what?
real like a full on baby in there. They can't use the
Yes,
intravaginal.
a
Yeah,
whole ass baby. Yeah. And so then she does it, like, puts the jelly on my belly and does that ultrasound, and you could see a full on, like, a baby in there. Like, and you don't really have a perspective of, I was thinking
yeah,
it's the size of my pinky nail. And she's like doing the measurement. She's like, well, I just did the measurement. So, you are at least 5 months pregnant. And I go, what? And I go, how big is the baby? And she goes, the size of a banana. And I'm like, no, like, I'm freaking out. I'm like losing it. I'm like,
yeah.
I went full on psycho mode, full on. Okay. And that day, Matt had an appointment to go meet the jeweler for my engagement ring because he had already been looking for my diamond. And he was like, I love you, but I have to go. And I'm like, where the fuck do you have to go? Like, you can't, I was crying at the doctor's office for like 2 hours straight. And he's like, we're gonna get through this, I promise. And then yeah, so
Yeah,
then I
that's
had
that
to tell my
story. Like, your
mom.
son is probably like, "Mom, like, how did you not know I was there?"
Dude. So you know what? I now I believe those stories when like didn't know I was pregnant. Like, that was me. But you know what? I look back, and there was all these like medical professionals, like, I'm telling you all the signs, and they didn't put two and two together. Like,
Yeah,
that's why I'm
that's
like, God or the universe has a way of working everything out. Um and even my doctor who I saw right after that, she's like, I'm so sorry that, like, I spoke to that nurse practitioner. That was unacceptable. She should have read the signs. It was just like so blatant. I don't She goes, I'm
yeah,
very upset with her. And we had a conversation. I'm like, okay. So that's
yeah.
how I found about the first.
The
But
second one's a
I
whole
don't know
other
if you want to get
story.
into the second one, but like, yeah, exactly. And then by the second one, I'm just like, my life's a joke. Why is this happening to me? And I remember that was right when we were launching in JCPenny, and I was getting married in a couple months. And I told my sister, I'm like, run over to the doctor's office. And she's like, I go, Erica, I'm pregnant. She's like, God damn it, Shannon. what the hell? And I'm like, I know my wedding, because she was helping me plan my wedding. I'm like, my wedding. She goes, I don't give a shit about your wedding. The JCPenny deal. What are we gonna do? Because that comes with work. Like we
Yeah.
had to do like a road show. We had to go to all the JCPenny grand openings. We had to go shake everybody's hands. Like that was gonna be a lot of work. And now I'm freaking pregnant again. So hey, we figured it out. It's all good.
No, I think it's, like I said, like lo que es para ti, nadie te lo quita. Like it was meant to happen. And I mean, the
Mhm.
circumstances are absolutely insane, but you made it all work because of
Yeah.
what you said, like you had help, you had a supportive mom, you had like your partner. Like
Mhm.
I feel for the people who, didn't know they were pregnant and then are single and like they're like, well, fuck, like how do I
Yeah.
do this? Like you had a support system.
Yeah.
That's what
Mhm.
allows you to do everything that you do. And that's the most important thing. And
Mhm.
like you said, like, yeah, I think balance is a myth. I think it's time management and
Mhm.
prioritization, like putting yourself first and
Mhm.
making time for the things that are important to you.
Mhm.
And then asking and not being afraid to
Mhm.
ask for help. And too many women, I think, especially in more corporate worlds, are just unafraid, like are too afraid to ask for help. And I'm like, I'm not afraid. I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I will fully admit, I'm like, I'm a child. I'm still like, I
Yeah.
tell my mom all the time, I'm like, I am 26 and have no clue what the hell I'm doing. I don't make any illusions that I know what I'm doing. If you think I know what I'm doing, check yourself.
Girl, they put my son in my arms, and I was so disconnected. I was like,
Yeah, because you didn't have time to
"What is
prepare.
and again, I had the worst postpartum depression for about a year, but I suffered in silence because I felt embarrassed. I felt like I didn't I felt like I shouldn't be feeling like this because you see all these moms on Instagram and they're so blissful and everything's so perfect and everything's so
No.
curated, and it's like I'm like I felt like I loved my dog more than I loved my baby, and I felt like something was messed up in my head. But the amount and when I suffered in silence, I was in a really deep place. And then finally, when I came out of that, I realized that more moms than none have postpartum depression. And that was actually our most successful launch to date was our revival collection. Because it was all about my postpartum journey. And
Glad you
we called
shared
it
it
revival.
though. That's huge that you
Yeah.
were able to share it because yeah, it's so sad. That I worry about that too because
Yeah.
I already struggle with depression and anxiety, and I really
Hmm.
struggle with into like emotional intimacy like that and connecting deeper with people like in
Hmm.
relationship settings. So I'm like worried about that.
Hmm.
Like I mean, I'm way too young and nowhere near ready to worry about those things. But like that's
Yeah.
commend you for
Yeah.
sharing that because it's so vulnerable too.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I finally had the courage to share it because I go, if this is how I felt, imagine how many other women are feeling this way and they're struggling and have nowhere to turn. And so you can actually buy the revival collection at JCPenny, or if you want to check it out, our eyeshadow, our 9 pan has all like words of affirmation like warrior, powerful, strength, like courage. And so I have this idea that women can leave that open on their vanities every day to look at those words of affirmation and just tell themselves like you are powerful, you are courageous, you are a warrior. And have that help them, as little as it may seem. I
Yeah.
feel like it has helped some people. So yeah, I had to deal with that, and I was never a person that suffered with depression. I was like, oh, anxiety, oh, that's a made up thing. I was never that person. And when it finally hit me, and I feel like my hormones, or like now that I'm a mom, I'm way more sensitive. Have way more anxiety. Like I didn't leave the house by myself with my son for 2 years because I was like, oh my gosh, what if he like has a meltdown? What if he has a tantrum? Like, what if I'm by myself? Like, you know, I had that anxiety as a mom, and it's just kind of gotten worse sometimes, because you now I have two of them. So
No, and I think the world doesn't
it's
really make it
completely
easy on us
like that.
either. The world doesn't make it
Hmm.
easy on us, but also like and probably a lot of it too, like I mean, I don't know, I've never experienced this, but like maybe because since you felt like you were so disconnected because you didn't have time to repair, like you were almost overcompensating for not having known, and like you were more worried now, and
Mhm,
like so it's even crazier that like it happened again, like not knowing, because you were so much more in tune with yourself and your emotions. But hormones are
mhm,
a wild fucking thing. I honestly, like, I have to go to the
mhm,
gynecologist. I'm due already, and like I was telling my abuela this
mhm,
yesterday. I was like, I think I might have endometriosis because something's not feeling right, and something's up.
mhm,
And I already have had issues with thyroid and hormones, and like, I don't have PCOS. But they thought I had PCOS, and like I don't have as many eggs as I should
mhm,
have at my age. And that was like
mhm,
2 years ago. So imagine now. And like,
mhm,
being on birth control, like when you got pregnant, all these other medications, like I'm thankfully, that's why I got off birth control 3 years ago. August will be 3 years. I was like, I will be extra careful now, but like I don't want any of that shit in my body because I already sense that like something's gonna be
mhm.
up, and I'm worried for when that time
Yeah.
comes. But I love that
Mhm,
you have an organization that supports women in that, and like being there for
mhm,
them, help giving them the strength and the courage, like, and to be resilient. Like that's something that I think, like, as Latina women, like we have in spades because we were raised by such strong characters, but not everybody has that. It's not in everybody. So
mhm,
that you're, and
mhm,
that's what you're I see your content, like you are very empowering in your content, like, and I
mhm,
try to be too. Like that's why I do it. Like, we grew up not having that one to look up to. Sometimes not everybody has that. We're
mhm,
lucky that we did
mhm,
have it in our
mhm,
families. Like, I want to share that with others. And I think that's also where like the time management and prioritization comes from. Like, now
mhm,
that you know who you are, you're able to put your energy in the things that truly fulfill you and make you happy and help people. And like that's always my goal, especially as I get older and I figure out where I want to spend my time and what projects I want to put energy into. But I always make time for
mhm.
myself and my mental health and working out and eating healthy and taking care of me, because it starts with us, like our own selves.
Absolutely.
What are some things you do to make time for yourself?
To take time for myself. I I am not a person who likes working out. I never thought I would be that person because I'm just like, I hate jumping, I hate burpees, I hate
I don't like
like
any of that
running
either.
circuit training, like I hate that stuff, okay? But it was really important for Matt, my significant other, because he's like, I want you to be in shape. I want you to like feel good about yourself. I want you, I want a partner who is into that stuff. And I'm just like, dude, that's not me. Like straight up, that's not me. But now that I am getting married and I have my wedding coming up, I found reformer Pilates.
That's what I
Have
do,
you heard of
Pilates and
reformer Pilates?
yoga. I love Pilates.
Yes. And that has like transformed the way I like think about fitness because
Yeah.
it's not you're not jumping up and down, your titties aren't slapping you in the face, like you're not, your back's going out. I hate stuff like that. And this is really like strength core, like slow motions. And I feel like that has really changed my body for the better. So I feel like I was doing it twice a week. Now I do it 3 times a week. I'm gonna try to do it 5 days a week leading up to my wedding. But that 45 minutes makes me feel like I could take over the world after that. Like
Same.
I got my day started in a good vibe. That was my 45 minutes to myself. And then it's like, all right, atacazon, what do we got on the calendar? What do we got to do? What meetings do we have? You got to record, you got to do your radio show. You got to do like you got to film this content. You like my days are jam packed, but I like that. I like being
Same.
busy. I like feeling like okay, like I'm working towards my purpose. And so yeah, I take 45 minutes a day for myself. Everything else is for everybody else.
No, I love reformer Pilates, and I feel the exact same way. And it's funny that you said the chaos thing earlier, and again now, like on my vision board, it says she is chaos personified. And like that's literally me. I thrive
Mhm,
in the chaos. I need to be busy so I know when, like, okay, now I can it's almost like not great. It's like, okay, I did all this stuff, like now I can take time for me, but also being busy allows me to feel more productive in my rest because I know I'm like doing like it's like helping me and I'm able and it's my time to be creative and think about and reflect on all the things. And then I'm like, all right, I'm
Yeah.
excited now to get to do all the things on my calendar and to help people and do all these exciting
Yeah.
things. So I agree. Yoga and Pilates.
Yeah.
I try to do each twice a week and then one long walk. Like that's like my goal.
That's
That's
good.
what I'm striving to.
Yeah.
And that has, but as a dancer, I never liked circuits or working out or running or any of that too. So I really struggle with like once I
Yeah.
stopped dancing, my body changing and like how to work out. And like Pilates is like it feels like it doesn't, it's hard.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, it's fucking hard, but it doesn't feel as like intense as like the circuit stuff. So then I leave feeling like strong and like empowered and yeah,
Mhm.
I love, that's why I love Pilates and yoga.
Totally.
But no,
Yeah,
how do
totally.
you
And I think oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, like, how do you like, are you a time management, like, are you a calendar person? Like, do you have an assistant? How do you navigate the radio show and like running that and now a business and then like your life, like your personal life, like all of that stuff?
Yeah. Like as soon as I like get confirmation of something, I have to put it in my calendar. Like if it's not in my calendar, I will forget. I will not,
Same.
it was not gonna happen. Like if it's not in my calendar, consider it not happening. So I'm a very much I have to write things down because my brain is I don't have a good memory. So I have
Yeah.
to keep like that's how I keep myself accountable. Shades by Shan we have a team of 15 people and they help me a tremendous amount and we help each other. Like no task is too small for anybody, you know, like I could call Juan, our CMO, to be like, yo, can you like write me an Instagram caption real quick? Like anything. Cause he knows me. He's like my best friend. He's like, sure, girl, give me the picture. Like, let me edit it for you. There's nothing too small that we won't help each other for.
Yeah.
So it took me a long time to really be like, I'm paying my team so I can rely on them, right? Like let me lean on
Delegation.
them to help. Yeah, and delegate and not be like, "Oh, I don't want to ask them to do this." But it's like, "No, like
You
they
pay
need
them.
something to do. Like I pay them. Like it's okay. You don't have to do everything yourself." And and I feel like even as a mom, it took me a long time to realize asking for help is okay because you know I was comparing myself to my suegra who was like you know she ran a business, she had two kids, she took care of them, she was a housewife, she did it like she did everything by herself, and I'm like oh I could do that too, and it's just like no girl you can't, like you are not her and she is not you, and that's okay. And you know I ended up having to hire a nanny. My nanny is amazing. I think it sounds like, oh, you have a nanny, but she's family. She's helped me when times are tough, when I'm crying and she's family. And I feel like it's easier to be able to pay someone to help you with your kids and have a Latina um mom who wants to just tell you everything and drive you crazy because you're doing everything wrong, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, that's not healthy either. So you know what? I'm gonna pay someone to watch my kids, and that's okay.
And
That is
having
okay.
boundaries with your swig it out, with
Mhm,
your mom, with in
mhm,
work, in life, like that's something that I've been working on this week, like having boundaries, not being so eager to share my life online as much as I used to. Like I'm still gonna share a lot and I'm still
mhm,
gonna be vulnerable because I love it and it got me where I am, but also knowing when it's time to like, all right, this is something I gotta do myself or in person or
mhm,
delegation, like all of those things are it's things we gotta learn as we get older, but the world
mhm,
tries to make us seem like that, especially women, like that we're less than for not being able to do it all.
mhm.
Because for so long we weren't able to, that now like, okay, now you can do it all. But like we said, like you can't do it all at once and you need to ask for help. So that's huge.
Yeah, you need, and that's but again, it took me a long time because I felt that mommy guilt. I felt like, oh no, what are people gonna think? Like I have to like ask for help. Like they're gonna think I'm weak. They're gonna think I'm not a good mom. You got to shut the noise out. You got to do what works for your family. And if your both spouses are conjoined and they're like, hey, we're good paying a nanny because we'd rather have her than have your mom who's driving us crazy every day, who was who has helped us and helps us tremendously, but it comes at a cost, right? It's like, okay, mija, no hiciste esto, es que no le pusiste en guitarra, es que no está en soccer, es que no haces nada, es que mija, like that's how Latina moms are.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of them are. So I've had to set that boundary and be like, you know what, mom, I love you, but like just come over when we for playing, like let's not make it like I
Oh,
don't
my
also
mom
wanna
is
be like her
very,
too.
yeah, my mom is very much, she's like, I already raised you guys. I'm not raising your kids. Like, go get a nanny. Like, I'm not going to be the nanny. I'm like, I don't want you to be. Let's make something very clear.
Mhm,
You are not going to be.
mhm,
And I'm glad that her and
mhm.
I already know that. Like, between her and I
Yeah,
for when that
and
time comes. Because yeah, they are something else.
oh my, but you know what? My mom was the opposite of your mom. My mom was like, no, hija, yo no voy a dejar a nadie que críen a tus hijos. Yo los voy a criar. Tú anda a trabajar, tú anda lo que necesitas que hacer, y yo los voy a. And now she's like, ay, mija, es que me duele el hombro, es que me duele. She's getting old. She's
Yeah.
getting older. She's 73, and but she's like, she goes like the pachanga almost every night. She has another
That's my
salsa. She has
grandma.
a salsa club every night.
That's my grandma's age. She's 72 and she goes out more than I do. Like, that's so funny. They would be best friends. I
Dude,
feel like.
yes, yes. So, my mom's getting older too. It's hard with two kids, and I got to do what I got to do to make my life work for everybody else. But I try to really manage with like, I try to like shove everything Monday to Thursday. So that way Fridays I have free. Or if something very, very, very important needs to happen on Friday, I can do that. But I try to leave Friday, Saturday, and Sunday open for my family. And those are my family days. So
That,
that's how
that's
I
a
do it.
good, that's a good like structure to strive for. I'm working on that for Fridays to be my mentorship days or my podcast days. Like, so I'm not taking away from
Mhm,
work. So, and I can still do all the things
mhm.
I love and provide value and provide an impact to people. And then I'm sure when that time comes in my life, I'll transition as well to making it a more of a day for my family and for myself. But I know we have to wrap up, but since you have a makeup company, what are your like go-to beauty tips or products? Like what can you not live without in your makeup routine?
You know what? I will look in here. I will show you. Listen, look how nasty this is and how dented it is. Because I freaking put a dent in it. This is a Berry Obsessed eyeshadow palette. It's what I have on my eyes right now. It's
That's like
my
the
mommy
perfect,
like go-to palette. Like,
yeah,
perfect
I
gold.
need
Yeah,
that.
perfect
I need
golds,
that in my life.
neutrals. And then this is the bronzer that I use, already hit pan. I'm obsessed with it. It's like what I use to bronze up my face. This is the shade Latte. Golden Summer, this is a highlight I have.
That's so pretty, yeah.
So yeah, these are like my 3 favorite products ever, and you can shop them at shadesbyshan.com. You can also check them out at a local JCPenny store near you guys, and then hopefully we'll be in some more BoxyCharm and Ipsy boxes this year too.
That's exciting. I haven't been to a JCPenney in so long, but fun fact, my dad used to work at JCPenney. Like that was his first job. And that's
That's so
hilarious.
funny. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, full
But
circle
so
moment.
yeah, it's funny. And my mom worked at McDonald's. Like actually when I was born, she was working at McDonald's, like corporate side.
Oh
That's
my
funny how they get their
gosh.
start and then, the evolution. But thank you so much, Shan, for being on the podcast. Where can everybody find you? I'll link it all below.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at shanberries. You can go to my website, shanberries.com. And then again, if you want to support a single parent in need, shop our products, shadesbyshan.com. If you want to nominate a single parent, do so at mamaberriesfoundation.org.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.